Hey guys, hello everyone. Yeah, let's start. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So the name of my presentation is how to bring TradFi on the Bitcoin standard. I'll keep it simple. Institutional peer-to-peer. So peer-to-peer is actually itself as a concept is embedded in Bitcoin white paper. I hope many of you have read Bitcoin paper, and Bitcoin actually was invented as a peer-to-peer money to avoid and eliminate the middleman. Now, most people outside of our industry, they do consider that peer-to-peer is mostly to be a retail thing, meaning there's like certain person, physical person, and there's another person, and they don't apply that concept to the institutions. However, Bitcoin actually allows you to introduce peer-to-peer to institutions as well. And the reason for that is that institutional adoption is actually growing due to the several factors. I highlighted the most important factors out here. So number one is obviously ETF launch by BlackRock. Number two, there's a huge demand from the customers from TradFi companies. And number three, banks, TradFi companies, they start looking into hedge options, and Bitcoin seems to be a new innovative approach how to hedge the risk in a worsening economical conditions at the moment. Now, so is institutional peer-to-peer possible? We believe it is, and but you need to use an appropriate tools for that. And some of you know that we in our team, and me myself personally, we're Bitcoin multisig maximalists, and we believe that's the best tool how to bring peer-to-peer to the institutions. Now, why multisig? I mean, first of all, the concept is familiar within TradFi industry. They actually have already their own version of fiat multisigs. It's called escrow services, and banks, presumably, and mostly the banks, they're using escrow when you're buying real estate, for example. So this concept is pretty much familiar to most TradFi companies out there. Furthermore, multisig is one of the oldest and most conservative technologies built on top of Bitcoin. And due to the key distribution, it's highly secure since there's no single point of failure, and it's also highly transparent, since you can verify it through any blockchain explorer, basically. And it's also highly secure, again, due to the distribution of the risks between several parties involved in the multisigs. Now, we have highlighted three main use cases which are foundational for, let's take an example, for any bank out there. These three are custody, trading, and lending. Like actually modern banking, they started in 14th century in Italy as a lending business, and they added custody and trading a bit later. Let's start with first one, custody. Custody is a crucial backbone of the services that any bank offers, and Bitcoin can actually change how banks custody assets. Now, the problem and the major problem that multisig can solve for Bitcoiners is that customers do lose their keys. If it's a single signature wallet, there's a single point of failure, and because of that, it is estimated that more than 6 million of Bitcoin were lost due to the poor key management, which is around $400 billion at the moment. And they have been lost like forever, basically. You cannot restore access to that since it's a single sig. So, collaborative custody and solution built on top of multisig can actually help that, and we see that these solutions already exist. Companies such as Unchained Capital and Casa, they have pioneered these solutions, and you can already use multisig if you're a Bitcoiner. Hopefully soon you will be able to use multisig to custody your Bitcoins within the bank. How it works? Now, this is a basic 2 out of 3 scheme with multisig, where 3 keys are distributed between 3 independent parties. One party is a bank, one party is a customer, and one party is a custody partner. Now, banks can implement this as well for their customers, and this actually eliminates the single point of failure, because even if the customer will lose their keys, you can still access your funds, and you can rotate keys, or you can help customer to move these Bitcoins from the storage, because bank and custody partner, they have the remaining 2 keys. Trading. Very unfortunate, yet my favorite example out there. So TradFi trading, and particularly OTC trading. Let's say it's October 2021. Fortunately, you have decided to bought Bitcoin. Unfortunately, you have bought Forbes magazine. And well, you have researched Forbes magazine. You like this young guy, very famous entrepreneur at this time, and in less than 12 months, your Bitcoin is gone. So what's the issue there? The issue is trust. One of the many issues, but one of the reason and the problem is that in order to trade, in most cases, trust is highly required. And usually users are forced to take the risk and send money first and then receive Bitcoin. There are many trusted companies out there, of course, but Bitcoin was created as a trustless system to actually help you not to trust the entity or the people behind the entity, but trust the code instead. And the solution for that, in order to solve the trust issue, institution can use, again, multisig-based escrow trade system. It works with already known example, 2 out of 3. Again, let's imagine one bank wants to buy Bitcoin from another bank. They both on board to the OTC trading desk and create a multisig-based escrow. Now, seller sends Bitcoin in that address, buyer verifies that Bitcoin is there and sends fiat. And after receiving the fiat, seller releases Bitcoin in favor of the buyer. So basically, this eliminates the need for a buyer to trust the seller because he sees in advance that Bitcoin are there in escrow. And also this eliminates certain risks, which are, for example, let's say the seller received the fiat and trying to get Bitcoin back. It's impossible because he only have one key. And in the same way, buyer doesn't send fiat and try to get Bitcoin from the escrow, which is impossible because, again, only one key. And the final use case, lending. Now, with the lending, the issue is one of the main issues, and I think it's the main issue, the main problem is rehypothecation. In the simple words, it's where you custody your collateral with the institution or with any custodial services out there, and they use them to relend it further to trade or generate yield. And in fact, there are many, many bad examples of this practice. I'm sure some of you have heard of these companies. And multisig storage for the collateral can actually solve that issue, and this is what we're using within our platform, Debify. So our approach is very simple. Every time the lending contract is created on our platform, we create a multisig storage with 4 keys, which are distributed equally between lender, borrower, Debify, and independent entity that holds extra key. Now, collateral can only be moved with at least 3 keys, and only in predefined situations such as repayment, liquidation, and disputes. And this allows for transparency, so borrower can verify that his collateral, his Bitcoin, sits actually in a multisig. And this also allows borrower to be sure that nobody will be able to move his funds without certain consensus and without certain predefined conditions. Now, furthermore, during the last couple of months, we have created a survey, and we try to prove our hypothesis how crucial and how important non-custodial setups, in particular multisig-based setups, are for Bitcoiners. And we have asked a very simple question. We have given 2 options to our respondents. Option number 1, you pay less, in this case 8% interest rate, but you custody your funds in order to borrow with a custodial service, and they can potentially rehypothecate those funds. Or you can pay more, 11% interest rate, and but rehypothecation is not allowed, and your collateral is held in the multisig, in non-custodial service. And surprisingly, 82%, almost 82% of Bitcoiners, they would prefer overpaying almost 50% in order to hold keys to their collateral and in order to avoid rehypothecation, and in order to be allowed for transparency and security and to understand that collateral is there. Nobody's playing with it, nobody's trying to generate extra yield. And to end my presentation, the obvious fact, we also asked the question, how important is for you to hold your keys? Almost 90% answered that it's crucial and essential. Thank you very much, that's it.
All right, everyone. Does anyone have any questions for Max? Any questions? Okay, we got 2 questions. Please, people, more questions, because if not, I have to fill the time on stage, and holy shit. Oh, we got Uncle Rockstar. What's up, man? How you doing? All right, who's going to ask the question? All right.
So right now, as far as I know, it's only stablecoins on DebiFi against the Bitcoin.
No, it's stablecoins and fiat.
It's fiat already as well, right?
Yeah, it's fiat already.
That was my question. Yeah, because I don't think I saw any fiat offers publicly.
We have private offers for fiat.
There we go. Okay.
And we are currently onboarding some liquidity providers that would do also public offers.
All right, second question. And I think I saw a question over there, too.
What kind of volume are you seeing in terms of like how big could this market get if institutions wanted to play in there?
Well, we just launched like 6 months ago, but we have like huge experience in building these multi-signature solutions because we initially kickstarted a project called HODL, which is biggest non-custodial peer-to-peer trading and lending platform, but it's a micro-lending. And well, the volumes, I'm not going to disclose the volumes, but they're significant. And to give you a perception, we also have a company here in Switzerland for a reason, because Switzerland is very much advanced in Bitcoin regulation, crypto regulation, and they have a lot of digital asset banks, and we're talking with most of them at the moment. So there's actually demand is growing. And institutions, the only problem is there that banks playing by the old playbook, which is custody. They want to custody the fund. But the good thing, for example, for Switzerland is that even if you custody Bitcoin within the bank, those assets, in case of bank bankruptcy, they're separated. They're like off balance sheet, and they won't be subject to the long process of repaying, etc., etc. So that means that for us as for service provider and for the bank, they don't care how they store these assets. Either it's a multi-sig or it's on their hot wallets or cold wallets, whatever.
All right.
So, hey, thank you so much. You're completely amazing, and I'm a big fan. So thank you for what you're doing. One of the biggest questions that people in the DeFi spaces is like risk, right? So like, how do you effectively manage your counterparty risk?
Again, through multisig, because we do the diligence on all our lenders. So you cannot onboard to DebiFi to become a lender as a private individual, and you cannot onboard without going through the diligence, KYB, KYC, etc., etc. We also signed certain agreements with the lenders that governs our relationship, how they can use our platform. So I would say DebiFi is not a DeFi solution. It's actually an infrastructural solution for like more traditional type of finance. And furthermore, we've been, again, receiving the feedback from TradFi companies, from funds, and from banks, and they said, like, it's too early for them to use pure DeFi solutions because, like, no risk management within the bank will allow you to gamble with the money and send money to the certain. You can go to the crypto market makers, you can go to liquidity sources within the crypto industry. They will probably understand your solution, they will do that. But if you want to go after the TradFi companies, which still is the biggest liquidity source in the world, because fiat and TradFi is still the biggest liquidity source in the world, they want to use a transparent solution, secure solution, verified, open source, presumably, which we are full KYC, KYB, opportunity to check the collateral, opportunity to do this and that, and manage keys properly. They want to understand that it's a clear, defined solution for them.
Any more questions? Going once? Going... Oh.
Again.
I'm sorry, I'm curious, Max. So you mentioned the HODL. It's more of a retail micro lending product. So with DebiFi, it's larger loan sizes, right? So immediately my mind goes to more business-to-business lending. Is that something you're observing? Like, is there more volume in business-to-business?
We have actually, we see that business-to-business lending is actually growing. we released a new feature that allows you, when you as a lender publish the offer on the Debify platform, you can actually mark that offer that it's only available for corporates. And we actually believe that probably, unfortunately or fortunately, most of the lending contracts will be done with corporate borrowers, because there's the demand on that side.
So what kind of companies do you think would be the borrowers here, like miners?
We have a bunch of use cases already, again, that we help to secure the loans. Like one of the latest was a company called CryptoStill. They produce this things that allows you to store your seed securely. And we're also in talks with a couple of hardware wallets, but of course miners are the best, and like we have huge demand from the miners, and that's the main customer. From the Bitcoin space, that's the main customer, miners, because they have Bitcoin, they do understand the upside trend, and they don't want to sell, but they need to fund their operations. So we're in talks with a bunch of big miners, and hopefully we'll be able to connect them with cheap liquidity providers that we have.
All right, any more questions for Max? I think someone, we got plenty of questions. All right, I like this. All right, we're going to go over here. Did you already ask a question? You look familiar. You haven't asked a question yet, have you? Okay, here we go.
Thank you. Hi, hello.
Hey.
When do you plan to drop your limit about 100,000 of the USDT?
November, yeah. We have recently added a hardware device, which is a cold card MK4. In November, we're going to add a few more hardware devices, and this will allow us to improve our security. And then we're just removing the limit for 100K, and we're also increasing the limit for the loan duration, which will be, now it's 12 months. It's going to be 24 months, eventually moving to 36 months. And like in a bright future, probably up to 5 years as well.
What about less than 1 month?
Sorry, what?
Less than 1 month of the time?
We can consider this. Again, for the most use cases for the less than 1 month borrowing is usually trading companies. So we actually been talking about overnights as well, like less than 24 hour. But we're taking small steps because the lending business is very conservative, and you need to ensure highest level of execution and security levels. So we have our roadmap. So for now, the priority and the feedback from our customers is that they want to have longer terms, not the shorter terms. But less than 1 month is absolutely possible.
If I missed this at the beginning because I came in a couple minutes late, apologize. But LTVs, is this something that the lender can kind of adjust and
So for now, we have for stablecoins is from 30 to 70%. You can publish your offer as a lender with any LTV you prefer. And for fiat, we have 50% by default. But we have a couple of lenders who said, okay, we want to do fiat, but we want to do 45, 40, 30, and we can adjust to that. It's like pretty flexible.
Oh, hey Max,
Hey.
thank you. Hey man.
Hey, man.
Great product. Really excited about the rollout. But just following on from the last gentleman's question, in addition to LTVs, maybe I missed this, but do you see a spread of interest rates? Or does that depend on volume? Can you give us an indication on that?
That depends on the cost of capital. So if you're onboarding the Swiss bank, they probably will be offering you interest rate around 8, 9, maybe 10%. But if you will onboard some kind of private fund who operates in stablecoin, their cost of capital will be probably way more expensive, around 16, 15%, maybe even 17%. The average interest rate on Debify, which is great for lenders, I believe, over the first 6 months was around 16.7%. It's like stablecoin, but for fiat, we saw that the average rate is actually way lower, even lower than the custodial services that offers fiat lending, which we're very much happy with. And again, as more lenders will join, there will be more competition in that way. And we saw that actually with HODL HODL, because first the offer list was pretty small, and then now we have like a large offer lists, big volumes, and like they're trying to compete with each other. And obviously, like those who have cheaper cost of capital, they will win eventually.
Awesome, thank you. Now, if I had a follow-on question as well, since you mentioned miners, there are probably a few in the audience. Like, do you have any view on future development or pushing this a little bit further and using instead of Bitcoin, going into hash rate markets? I know that
we had a talk with one of the banks who did hash rate stuff. It's pretty. I would say we want to focus on Bitcoin because that's our primary use case. We're building solution for that, and it's a code. I mean, we cannot code hash rate mining to some extent. Yeah, multi-sig hash rate. I don't know how it works. And I mean, like with Bitcoin, collateral is already there. So if the borrower fails to repay, you just take the collateral. Unfortunately, that's how the market works. I mean, we are all afraid of liquidations, and we're not fans. But I mean, there's always other side, which are liquidity providers, and they want to receive money from the liquidation. If the borrower fails to repay, I want to get my money back. I don't care. And with Bitcoin, it's pretty much unique because you receive collateral upfront. Okay, it's basically already over collateralized. There's already collateral, and you can be sure that you will get that collateral in case borrower will fail to fulfill their like agreements and whatever the things are. With hash rate, it's basically like we're getting back to the stone age of like real estate, ASICs, and all that stuff. We don't want to deal with that, honestly.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Max.
Cool, thank you.
Woo!